Hi, Yogesh. Thank you so
Hi,
much
Dharini.
for joining me on this walk all the way from Mysore while I'm sitting here in Seattle. How are you today?
You just said joining you for this walk from Mysore, and you're sitting in Seattle. And it's just, yeah, bringing alive this visual that I'm seated right here and you're seated where you are, but we're going to be on this metaphorical walk.
Yes.
Um, and we'll see how deep we go into the woods, and maybe we get lost in the woods.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So, um, or maybe we just roll in the grass. So yeah, looking forward. I mean, it's the next best thing to doing it, you know, um, literally.
Yes.
Seattle has many beautiful parks. Mysore has many beautiful parks.
Yes.
But yeah,
Wonderful. So, Yogesh, I've had the pleasure and privilege of knowing you through the Sacred Mischief retreat that you facilitated in Seattle, that I helped co-organize while also participating in it. And I found it profoundly engaging. And
mm,
I loved how you brought out moments of unexpected rawness and
mm,
connection, both within, oneself and in the container that you so carefully nurtured over the
mm,
span of 3 days of the retreat.
mm.
And in the process,
5 days. We were there for
5
5 days, right?
days of the retreat.
Mm,
How did I miss
mm,
that? Yes.
mm,
Um, and in the process uh, of working with you, of knowing you, uh, I got to know more about you, the work that you do, the lives that you touch and transform, the zest that you have for life, and that has inspired me to have this conversation with you.
wow. Mm, thank you. Um, the feeling is entirely mutual. I'm stuck by the phrase you used, unexpected rawness.
Mhm.
I would love to know if whatever is alive in this moment for you, what for you felt unexpectedly raw?
I think the way you facilitate the workshop in such a way that it brings out um, the exercises bring out both elements of play and dialogue,
Mm,
and it
mm,
also helps us access some parts within ourselves
mm,
which we
mm.
really didn't
Which are locked away and
expect.
the keys were thrown somewhere.
Exactly.
And yeah, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you again
Of
for
course.
for
Thank
this.
you.
And so Yogesh, you are the founder of Game Changers,
G.
which offers a gamut of people development programs ranging from leadership skills to life skills to career skills to the one-on-one coaching that you do through your personal growth program, all the way to the retreats that you host
Retreat. Mm,
called Experiments in Love, which I love that name.
mm, mm, mm,
And you touch upon somatic healing,
mm,
body movements,
mm,
authenticity,
mm,
having difficult conversations.
mm,
So Yogesh, I would love to hear from
mm,
you, and this is a
mm,
two-part question.
mm.
Um, what was what was what were you before Game Changers? How did your
Wow.
life look like before Game Changers? And
Mm,
what prompted you or inspired you to create Game Changers?
mm. Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for that question. I would love to offer like a non-intellectual, non, you know, uh, this the temptation to to spin a story after something has happened is so
Mm.
intense, no? So you kind of make these cause effects just for the story to appear. And it's great to have a story, but sometimes it is not an accurate reflection of what actually happened. And
Mhm.
so in this journey, um, a lot of things just happen one after the other, which is not to say that one led to the other.
Right.
And I want to be mindful of that, right? Who I was before Game Changes, I think it was much the same person
Mhm.
who I am right now, um, for better or for worse. Um, but I feel today, or in the last 10 years, Dharini, I've had an opportunity to see um, what was really going on around me and see it more clearly,
Mhm.
right? So, for example, I developed a great love for language, right? I developed a great love for philosophy without
Mm.
even knowing that this is that
Mm.
philosophy is the word, but
Mhm.
just, like, um, but clearly there was something at work which is invisible, which is intangible, but which was fully felt, right?
Mhm.
But literature, debating,
Mm.
politics, psychology, philosophy, all of those things, they just had my attention.
Mm. Mm.
And something happened in those 3 months between 10th and 11th standard, where um, uh, and by now I'm starting to read, like lots and lots of newspapers, and that kind of phase took me to a point where I was reading 8 to 10 newspapers in a day. I was subscribing to every magazine that I knew of in the country. I was reading backdated Reader's Digests. So there was this, like, so the third thing which is also unexplainable here is that there was an insatiable appetite to or a hunger
Mm.
to just know,
Mm.
right? And in all of this, Tarini, I also felt extremely alone
Mm.
because there was nobody to share this with. And so that what it also meant is that there was an opportunity to become an autodidact,
Mm.
which is that you learn everything by yourself. This is, of course,
Mhm.
pre-internet,
Mhm.
slightly pre-internet,
Mhm.
definitely pre-Wikipedia, definitely pre-AI, etc.,
Mhm.
etc., etc.
Mhm.
But you just you're discovering, and I think the final piece of the puzzle, I mean, I don't think the puzzle's ever complete, but in this moment is a like a self-esteem that was absolutely shot.
Mm.
I had like I had very, very, very poor self-esteem. you know I was very thin, so there was a lot of shaming. When I would walk into school, the children would say, look, 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 there's a hanger
Mm.
on which a shirt has been, kind of, um, a shirt has been hung, etc. When we had our farewell, I put crepe band-aid on
Mm.
my arms, so that the suit would look okay.
Mm. Mm.
And it wouldn't look ill-fitting, and B, I would look a bit more muscular. So I
Mm.
put crepe band-aid,
Mm.
on.
Mm.
So and so this is who I was before Game
Mhm.
Changes. Like,
Mm.
um, us, and therefore, what does a child do when self-esteem is short, right? The child tries to, or the adolescent, or even the adult tries to generate self-esteem by performing.
Mm.
And performing is not just singing, dancing, all of that, right? Performing is being the person in the room who takes care of everybody else. So
Mm.
that is also performance for because the child is not supposed to do that.
Right.
The child performs by reading the room,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And so all of these things that I thought were skills,
Mhm.
at the age of 35, when I entered therapy, I realized these were all coping mechanisms.
Mm.
This is what I did to keep myself safe,
Right. You took
right?
on a lot of responsibility.
responsibility for them, and
Yeah,
like,
that wasn't
and
yours.
so that I could justify my own existence to
Right.
myself.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I mean that's just a little bit of what was happening
Mm.
uh before game change. The other unexplained thing from childhood, from adolescence, is is a love for people.
Mm.
I this before words like curiosity became very popular in the zeitgeist, and now we're talking about, oh, if you want to go on a second date, you need to ask on follow-on questions, and now we've gotten very clinical about curiosity
Mhm.
and all of that. But I've just been very curious. I've been in awe, and and I feel that's been a gift.
Mm.
That I was, you know, I was permanently, in a manner of speaking, rose tinted
Right.
about life.
Mm.
But the shadow part of it was also that, like I was saying, there is um, um, an inability to get off the horse.
Mm.
And sometimes it's a high horse, but sometimes it's just a horse. There's an inability to get off the horse, like, you're not able to switch off,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
Um, and and now, of course, I know that having your self-esteem uh, conflated with not just being the safest person in the room, or it can, like, having your self-esteem conflated with anything that you are doing
Mm.
is an accident waiting to happen.
Mm.
Because at some point you would that identity would make you stop seeing your own humanity, and you would stop seeing the humanity of other people.
Mm. Mm.
Right? So you do things for their own sake, but you don't want to derive self-esteem from
Mm.
those things.
Mm.
Right? So, for example, to make it tangible and real, it means that you want to, if you want to eat plant-based food, you want to eat, you make that choice, but you don't believe that that somehow makes you a better person. So you don't identify as
Mm.
being a vegan. You're just
Right.
somebody who eats
Yeah.
plant-based food,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Etc. 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 You don't, and even something so more bad, like, you don't identify as a foodie, as a traveler. No,
Mm.
no, you do those things because the moment you identify as something, you become invested in that identity, right? And so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah.
An interesting paradox I heard while you were,
Hmm.
sharing your stories, Yogesh, is that on one hand, you felt lonely, you've had, low self-esteem, and yet you said you saw the world through rose-tinted glasses.
This,
Mhm.
that you use the word paradox, Dharini, and that's exactly what it is. And when we say that human beings are packages, that's what I mean, that everything is going to be a
Mhm.
paradox, right? And the how wonderful that life gives you the opportunity to live the paradox,
Mhm.
right? Um, so for example, if the love for people also came from the fact that I was so full, like so thirsty for connection,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that thirst for connection at a certain place. So, there's a thirst for connection, and then there's also belief that you are unworthy.
Mhm.
So what is happening now? You're making connections where the focus is always on the other person.
Right. Yeah, you're looking
And so
for
you end up
validation.
forming, say it again,
You're looking for validation. Is
you're
that it?
looking I mean, depending on what validation means here, but what I was trying to get to is that you form relationships which are entirely focused on the other person, which is that about their lives and what is happening, because you're generating your sense of being a good
Mhm.
person, nice person, a useful person by being that to that person. So there's a thirst for connection, but
Right.
it is not always mutual, it is not reciprocated,
Right.
and you're locked there, you
Mhm.
are still continue to be locked out because
Mhm.
you feel that unworthiness is still not gone anywhere,
Mhm.
right? So it was in this background that the opportunity, the happy accident of getting into this business
Mm-hmm.
came to be.
Mm-hmm.
A series of happy accidents happened one after the other, uh, which led to, and we can get into the series of happy
Mm-hmm.
accidents if you want, but
Mm-hmm.
for now, it was a series of happy accidents that led to this opportunity to facilitate in Tamil.
Mm.
First program I did was in Tamil. In
Mm.
fact, I might have gotten the opportunity also only because I could speak Tamil,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I had grown up in Chennai, Dharini, and I had love for Hindi and I had love for English. But Tamil, I loved speaking Tamil, but I could never understand why, because we were, if you grew up in Tamil Nadu, you had to go through 12 years of schooling, and very necessarily a language you had to learn was Tamil.
Mm-hmm.
And I would often be out of my comfort zone with written,
Mm-hmm.
with the etc. So I had this kind of, complex relationship with Tamil. And eventually that's what got me the first opportunity, the fact that I could speak very fluent Tamil.
And
Right.
this was after you created Game Changers, or
No, no,
you got to
this was
facilitate
before
even
game change.
before? This is one
Yeah,
of
it
the
was
happy
just before.
accident you're talking about.
This is the happy accidents,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Uh, I mean, such an accident and so happy that, I mean, forget game changers not being created by this time. I don't even know that such a thing exists
Mm.
where you can, like, what you call as, what was that point called as corporate training or life skills or soft skills, what I call them as super skills.
Mm.
These are super skills, and this is not a euphemism. This is not
Mhm.
a marketing.
Right.
The ability to have a difficult conversation with love is a
Mm-hmm.
super skill.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to pay attention is a super skill, and
Mm-hmm.
this is going to get super is going to get supreme in the age of AI,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, and so it's in this background that somebody offered this opportunity to facilitate a program. This was for the company Godrej,
Mm-hmm.
which is a large manufacturing consumer retail company, real estate in India. It's one a behemoth. And so I went there. I started the program at 9:30. This was a one-day workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And the initial contract was to do 5 workshops. This was the first workshop.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly where it was in Chennai. I know exactly the floor. I remember everything. And um, it started at 9 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we had a tea break. And I remember standing there. Um, and it felt like my entire life I was preparing for this moment. I was having the time of my life.
Mm-hmm.
This was at the intersection of communication, of
Mm-hmm.
language and communication that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to speak with people, be in connection with people, uh, and and basically keep creating things out of thin air that will engage them, and that
Mm-hmm.
that can like you said right at the top, very simple but a very elegant way. You said the combination of play and dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for a year, um, after that, I was mostly freelancing. The word game changers came a few months after I had started, but I mean, I only had the word
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. And I might have done one or two projects under the name of Game Changers, but it was not registered and all. But we just kind of, mostly in a sense, freelancing
Mm-hmm.
and doing some work on the side. The first 3 years were really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, because what we were offering, at that time, behavioral sciences was not a phrase that everybody or most people in India understood.
Right.
I had a lot more hair on my head. I was
Mm-hmm.
still in my 20s. So if I'd go and, meet people, they'd say, "Hey man, you're talking about all this. This is fantastic. You also seem to be making sense or nearly sense. But what you don't have is a mop of gray hair or white hair or silver hair on your head
Mm-hmm.
for us to take you seriously."
Mm-hmm.
So, you see that enthusiasm is still there.
Right.
I'm sharing all of this, but I'm not taking myself seriously,
Right.
right? That low self-esteem is still there.
Mm-hmm.
We are
Mm-hmm.
still going into rooms and talking to people who, like, you know, probably more about the thing that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
but you're constantly underselling yourself.
Right. But
All of this is still
how
happening.
how did you come
Yeah.
to that, Yogesh? Like, did did you have the education to back the things that you were saying, or was it life experience? Was it your interactions and your travel
Wow.
that taught you, things about
That's a great
behavioral
question.
science?
I have no answer.
Hmm.
I can tell you what it was not. I did not have the education. I mean, if you
Right.
mean, did I have the education? Like, did somebody teach me? No, I did not have the education.
Right.
Um, was I making it up? I mean, of course I was making it up, but I was making it up in a, I would say, in a sincere way. Like this
Hmm.
is what felt like the truth to me.
Right.
When something does not come easy,
Hmm.
it unleashes a certain hunger inside of you
Hmm.
for that thing, you know. So it felt like this was uh, the beginning of where I did not have answers then, I still do not have answers, but this was the beginning where I I knew enough to start formulating the questions that felt meaning, right? And then on the horizon, at about the same time, there appeared people such as Nassim Nicholas Taleb, Malcolm Gladwell, you
Hmm.
know, who wrote Blink and Tipping
Hmm.
Point
Hmm.
in quick succession. Nassim Nicholas Taleb wrote Fooled by Randomness. And just that phrase, I remember where I was sitting in a cafe in Tapmi, in Manipal, which is close to a management institute. I'd gone there for the
Hmm.
little talk. Um, and I opened up the Economic Times, and you know, in the book review section, they said that Nassim Nicholas Taleb had won the what prize was it? Was it Pulitzer? Some prize he won, I forget now. But he won for The Black Swan, and it also said his previous book was Fooled by Randomness. I just read that phrase and I laughed out so loud, so loud.
Hmm.
It made so much, just the phrase made so much sense to me because the worldview that I was beginning to develop
Hmm.
organically, separately on my own, was that it was all random.
Hmm.
And so finally, at this point, although I do not have other people talking this language or responding to this language, but like I had enough to start formulating my own
Right.
question,
Right.
right? And also the opportunity to like so you know the first series of programs, for example, right? We had what is known as the presentation ninja,
Hmm.
the Tao of interviewing.
Hmm.
Now, if you ask me how are these names coming, have you been exposed to Chinese philosophy? I would say no, 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 no.
Hmm.
But these names, in a way, just downloaded themselves.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
and the only thing we really had was those brochures, and those brochures is where I would go mad.
Hmm.
I would express all the create because I don't know whether the program is going to but all this unexpressed energy that
Hmm.
is wanting to
Hmm.
come out, I would put in the first like the website now is of course really dated, but at that time in
Hmm.
2010 2011, if you look at the colors, the language, the attention paid to design, you know, game changes, the logo, the horse and what it does, etc., etc., etc. There was a lot of thought,
Hmm.
good or not, I don't know, but there
Hmm.
was a lot of thought,
Hmm.
and I know that the folks who made our website. By the way, I selected them because of the name of their company. Again, part of the reason they were called Modjust.
Hmm.
Modjust is French for a good phrase,
Hmm.
right? And but by the time they finished working with us, they were tired. Like, how much attention to detail is this guy going to bring?
Hmm.
Not like it was really, really anal at that point of time, and not
Hmm.
very skilled. But
Hmm.
just like, oh no, we need this, we need this, we
Yeah.
need this.
Yeah.
So, so it was just really that. It is channeling something that is locked away in your unconscious,
Hmm.
some things that you're catching from things that are around you, some things that you think are missing in the current way in which some of these problems are being addressed. Like, for example, I remember when I was in business school, when I was in college, even in school, the one thing I was very clear about, uh, and of course, this does not in any way speak about the individuals, but the one thing
Mhm.
that was I was so clear about 80% of the teachers, when I saw them, there was so little showing, there was so much telling.
Mhm. Mhm.
And much before I decided to get in this business, I knew that, like, if I'm going to be with somebody, I'm not going to be telling them
Mhm.
anything, because it did not engage my imagination when somebody was telling me things,
Mhm.
right? The other thing was people telling random inspirational stories that had no relevance to your context, and
Right.
you're supposed to suddenly be. And I was like, no, this is not okay,
Mhm.
right? And
But coming back to game changers, Yogesh, what I'm hearing is that you did not necessarily have the formal education
no.
to
Yeah, that's
back the behavioral science
at this point,
field
no.
that you are getting into.
Yeah, no.
And yet, your hunger for life, your curiosity, the
Yeah,
interactions that you've had with people, the truth you are living
yeah,
is what and the zest that you have to offer all of this to people and share it with people. How did you get people or organizations to take you seriously with
yeah,
with this as your situation?
yeah. Um, I think at after after a few years of what the cliche goes about entrepreneurship, right? That there's thousand now. Of course, it's changed with with the internet in the last 10 years. Um, but what you called as 1,000 days of sweat equity.
Hmm.
The first 1,000 days in entrepreneurship you know, are often understood to be hard. That's not true any longer, of course. In 3 years today, now you can
Hmm.
become a billionaire and shut your business and go back home,
Hmm.
right? Um, but what what happened in those 3 years of developing all of these programs, um, and having, by the way, just about enough work going so that we don't shut down. We're just kind of, you
Hmm.
know, getting getting enough. Uh in 2014, I'm trying to think how this pivot happened. Um, but until 2014, we were doing what the client wanted us to do, right? So the client would say that I want a service program. I was deeply interested in hospitality also, for
Hmm.
example. Like,
Hmm.
so we for instance, with Game Changers, and with some of the work that I did before Game Changers, we were the ones who helped organizations such as
Hmm.
Oberoi Hotels, Oberoi Villas, the Taj Group, etc., form some of their SLAs. Like, for example, if you call a Oberoi Hotel, you would never hear the phone ring.
Hmm.
They would immediately, so that became a service level agreement, right? I
Hmm.
was I was very deeply tuned into hospitality. Like,
Hmm.
it again, it kind of, just like personal
Hmm.
interest. Never stayed at any luxury hotel,
Hmm.
but just like, okay, this is how a luxury experience should
Hmm.
be crafted, right?
Hmm.
Beyond the bells in the business. Anyway, so at 2014, in August of 2014, uh, we decided to pivot from offering or constantly customizing what the client wanted
Hmm.
to saying that we want to. I think, yes. Now I'm trying to remember, or I'm able to access something. I think the word productize kind of entered my vocabulary at that time.
Hmm.
The first generation, a lot of first generation startups in India, product management firms, and like all of it. So the word productize, and the question we asked is that how can we productize what we have? Because we're not technology, we're not selling stuff, etc., right? But
Hmm.
how does this apply in our business, right? And so we said, what what will it look like if we productize and
Mm.
instead of saying, hey, what do you want? We
Mhm.
say, this is what we have.
Mm.
And this is what it looks like.
Mm.
And there's always going to be a little bit of customization at the last mile.
Mm.
But fundamentally, these are the first principles,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so in 2014, when we started what are known as open workshops, so we
Mm.
said we are going to have open workshops in the large cities, first in India, and then eventually they started happening in other parts of the world. But we will do open workshops, and then people can sign up.
Mhm.
And if they like what they see, then we will do them in their um, in their organizations.
So this was like a minimum viable product that you present,
Absolutely. This was a
and then you
MVP.
build
This was a
more.
low cost. Yeah. Sorry, we do what?
I mean, this is a minimum viable product that you present, and then you build more based on the response and the reflection.
Exactly. In a way, absolutely. It was an MVP,
Yeah.
and it was also um, something that was um, like we made it easy for the prospective clients to test something without them having to lose anything. Like
Hmm.
often we would invite clients to come and be part of the open workshop. Like for example, Infosys, who we ended up doing a lot of work with.
Hmm.
Um, their learning head, we invited them to an open workshop. Right.
Hmm.
And then we went on to do so much work with them that, while it is well known in the world about the work that Infosys did with Stanford on design thinking,
Hmm.
we did all the work on storytelling with them,
Hmm.
formulated their storytelling stack in a
Hmm.
way,
Hmm.
right? So all of the big behemoths, the IT behemoths in India, like we did work with TCS,
Hmm.
with Infosys, with Wipro, with CTS, with Global Cisco,
All big names. Yeah.
all of it. And it it happened because at some level when we productized, the clients started looking at us differently.
Hmm.
We were no longer um, a gun for hire,
Hmm.
right? We were no longer that I'm going to ask this person is going to come and do this, etc. All of
Hmm.
that. We were like, this is what we have.
Hmm.
And everywhere, in the world, truth matters, but before you get to the truth, perception matters more than reality.
Hmm.
And like, how do I communicate to you that I'm serious about this, right? Like, how do I communicate that you take me seriously? I cannot tell you to ask to take. I have to act in a way. I have to embody.
Hmm.
Um, But again, I wish I could tell you that all of this was strategic. No, this was
Hmm.
all just intuitive. Like this was just like one thing, we're pivoting, we're kind of doing things, etc. And then when we did this work, especially around presenting, around interviewing, we had a program called Handling Difficult Customers Before Having Difficult Conversation. We had a program, doing personal branding. This is much before personal branding kind of became this thing in the world.
Hmm.
Business storytelling. When we would do this work, a lot of times the clients we were doing this work with, like Adobe, like kind of people who don't suffer mediocrity at all,
Hmm.
right? Like organizations, and we were Walmart, GE. Uh, we were being told that the work that we were doing felt meaningful, felt original, felt fresh, uh, felt game changing. It was moving metrics for them for a
Hmm.
project. Like for example, there was Vodafone is no longer a big name, but Vodafone at that time was very, very big in India.
Hmm.
And we moved their net promoter score. Net promoter score is basically an index for customer satisfaction.
Hmm.
We moved their net promoter score in 3 months and 6 months across circles, and it became a massive success story.
Hmm.
So I think it was a combination of productizing, of the work speaking for itself, of the work showing results, and also I think just time on the road. You
Hmm.
like you now you're when you are constantly in and out of meetings, even if they're not leading to projects, you're building market intelligence. You're kind of like meeting more and more people, and and so um um over a period of time, you you start having people responding to that work.
Mm. So it's a slow catch up.
It was a
You
slow. Oh, absolutely. It's a slow burn. There's nothing overnight about this. Yeah.
So what fears did that phase bring out in you, where you were pitching these presentations, these products, and it's a slow burn, it's slowly catching up. You get one or two odd reflections back. But during that process, what was your thinking? What were the fears that it brought out?
I, the the fears in a way actually predate that phase, right?
Mm,
Like um the the opportunity to do just one day of work in an entire year actually could keep me creatively satisfied. I
mhm,
mean, I wanted to do work 365 days of the year, but if it
mm,
didn't come, so like the feeling in the room when that work happened,
mhm,
that viscerality,
mm,
that look on people's faces,
mhm,
you know, that was the truth,
mm,
you know, because in a way, we have continued to remain very boutique. Like, we're not competing in a manner of speaking with the Franklin Coveys of the world and the Dale Carnegies of the world, who are the established players in the training. We're very boutique, like, and, um, we do just what we want to do, kind
mm,
of a thing, right?
mhm.
Uh, but the fear really, I mean, the actually the closest thing to an accurate answer I can give you to this is, Dharini, the fear was and is always not having the opportunity to do this work.
Mm,
Even if everything is taken away,
mhm,
you know exactly what that thing is, you know. And that so the materiality of it does not scare me anymore. And actually, as I'm speaking to you and I'm thinking about it, that has not scared me in the last decade or the last decade and a half. Um, um, it is, yeah, it is this, that to not get the opportunity to do that which comes the most naturally, most organically, most effortlessly, and that seems to intersect with what some people find meaningful
mhm.
in the world. I think that, yeah, that's really the fear, if any.
Wow. On that note, Yogesh, I'm going to take a pause here
Yes, please.
and continue in our next part of the conversation.
Sure.
And I would love to touch upon experiments in love, because
Hmm.
that's a huge part of what you do, and how you get to share your your truths
Yeah.
with the participants, and I've seen how it transforms lives as well. So I would love to hear more about that journey,
Sure.
and we'll also get more into some fun facts about you.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you. Yeah.